Miami Dolphins opened the 2025 season in 5 days. Most Dolphins fans are expecting a victory over the Indianapolis Colts. We're here to tell you how the Dolphins can get that done. What's up, everybody? Chris Perkins. Thanks for watching this edition of Dolphins Deep Dive with Perk. I am your South Florida Sun Sentinel, Miami Dolphins columnist. That's David Furones. He is your South Florida Sun Sentinel, Miami Dolphins writer. Furones, you ready for this season opener? You need another couple of weeks? What's up?
I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know. It's coming up so soon. No, we have done so much work. We need this to get started already. It's been all off season. The Dolphins have made moves going back from before free agency, March through the draft. You find out Jalen Ramsey's getting traded before the draft. It doesn't happen until right before training camp. They're still making moves like Minkah Fitzpatrick right before camp. Russell Douglas like last week. So it's all this finally culminates to some games that matter here. We should get it started with week one.
Let's do it, baby. Let's do it. I am ready. As always, we welcome our viewers on YouTube. Hey, give us a like. Hit that thumbs up button. We like having you watch the show. By the way, leave a comment, a quote, or a thought on our live chat. The best place to get intelligent Dolphins conversation. Some of your questions will be answered live here on the show. Others will be answered later in the week on an online Q&A that will be published on sunsentinel.com. We also would like to invite you guys to subscribe to our weekly newsletter, The Fans Flash. That can be done by scanning the QR code shown on your screen. And finally, we would like to tell you that if you miss any part of this broadcast, you can catch the podcast on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. So it's week one. Here's some of the things we're going to talk about today. Is this Dolphins offense going to be ready? You know, it's been almost 9 months since Tua has thrown to Tyreek in a competitive situation. Waller hasn't been out there. Achane hasn't had contact in a while. Austin Jackson hasn't had contact in a while. Will this offense be ready? We're also going to talk about the defense. Can this defense dominate the Indianapolis Colts, the defense led by that dynamic front seven? What's going to happen there? We're also going to talk about whether this game is one of 17 or whether it's something bigger. We'll talk about that. And in our Furones bonus, David Furones will name the most likely, unlikely heroes for this Colts opener. As we always say, there's an ocean of possibilities. Let's dive in. There we go, baby. We are in regular season form. I like it. So, Furones, let's talk about this Colts opener. Is it just one of 17 or is it bigger than that? We know that the Dolphins are 3-0 in season openers under Mike McDaniel 2 years ago in 2023. They go out to L.A. They have that exciting season opener against the Chargers, one of the best victories in the Mike McDaniel era. Mike McDaniel's first game, if I'm not mistaken, he beat Bill Belichick, right? The genius. His very first game, he was hot that year, right? And then you beat Baltimore, then you beat Buffalo. That 3-0 start was very, very impressive. Last year they had the Jacksonville season opener where you have the Tyreek being detained. The Tyreek, where you have Tyreek.
There's only one Tyreek. We're not talking about Stevenson here.
Exactly.
Tyreek Hill.
That's right. I was going to say the incident, and then I was going to say Tyreek, but you had Tyreek involved in the incident, being detained by police before the season opener, but you get some fireworks from Tyreek. He has that dramatic touchdown to lead him to the victory. Javon Holland punches out that ball from Etienne near the goal line. This game feels like it is bigger than one of 17, Furones. You've got the culture change thing. You've got the fourth year of McDaniel and Tua, and I guess by proxy Chris Greer running the show. This is a team that under Mike McDaniel, they're 28-23 in the regular season, 0-2 in the playoffs. That's an average of just 9.3 victories per year. You've got to get off to a good start here. You need that offense going at full speed. You need that defense going at full speed. You need special teams with the new special teams coach, Craig Ackerman, and the new kicker, Riley Patterson, sharp and ready to kick a game-winning field goal. There's going to be a lot of judgment off of this game, of how this year is going to go. There's going to be overreaction all over the place. I do think that this is bigger than one of 17. It has that feel, right?
It almost sounds like you're saying there's an ocean of possibilities of what could happen in this game. Yeah, I think you look at it as one of 17. That's how you have to approach it. It may carry a little more weight because it's a road game against another team expected to compete for a wild card spot. So you don't want a loss in the opener to come back to bite you later for a playoff spot. But it always feels like a big game to start the season just because of how much anticipation builds for a team, especially this team after an offseason with so many questions, with the questions surrounding Tua and Tyreek's connection and relationship, the pivot to building through youth again instead of big spending on veteran free agents. What you mentioned, the culture change, of course. But fans want to see an immediate return and hope from the start of the season. But let's keep in mind, it is one of 17. And if you're the Dolphins, you want to build and be better as the season progresses. Mike McDaniel has previously said after an opener, he wants it, in theory, to be the worst game of the season with that in mind, because you want to improve off of your mistakes and not get worse as the season goes on, because everyone, in theory, should be getting better as they now have sample sizes and gained experience and have put stuff out there on tape for opponents to look into. So, yes, you want this to be, in that frame of mind, the worst game, and you only get better from then on. But you definitely want to get a win as you have your, in theory, worst game.
Furones, let's go off the field for a second. As we talk about this season opener, we know that the Dolphins named their 16 captains yesterday. Tyreek Hill was not one of those 6 captains. I'm going to see if I can remember them off the top of my head. Tua is one of the captains, Jordan Brooks, Aaron Brewer, Bradley Chubb, Alec Ingold, and Zach Sealer. I think that's all 6.
Ding, ding, ding.
How about that, man? I am in regular season form, baby. I like it.
A perk bonus?
Yeah. Well, let's hold off. Let's hold off on that for a little bit. We'll give the perk bonus at the end of the show.
The work from perk?
Ah, look at that, baby. Look at that. I like it. Furones always with the alliteration there. I like it.
That would be a rhyme, Perk. That would be a rhyme.
No, that's true. See, screw you. Why are you embarrassed? Why are you calling me out on my show? Come on, Furones. Come on. We're a team here. But look, with Tyreek, how significant is him not being named a team captain? Because to me, the significance is you're showing that you are going to operate differently this season, at least to this extent, right? And we know the Tyreek stuff from last season. He had been named a team captain all 3 of his previous seasons. Last year, you have the incident before the Jacksonville game. You have the incident after the finale, the I'm out rant. You had, during that time, Tyreek is trolling fans. I'm going to coach. I'm going to coach. What was that tweet? I'm going to go coach, or I'm going to go coach.
And that's right. I don't know if we figured it out to this date.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's just trolling fans. After the Houston game, he comes up with the thing of where, by the way, the Tua Tyreek connection was not sharp in that game. Tua throws 3 interceptions. 2 of them are intended for Tyreek. And after the game, Tyreek says, we need more practice time together. All of this stuff, look, and Tyreek is the best player on this team. Now, Tua is more important, but Tyreek is the best player on this team. I like the statement that the other players made by not voting Tyreek one of the captains. At least from this respect, it shows things are going to be different. I do think that's significant, Furones.
Yeah, Perk, you always say, to your point of Tyreek being the best player on this team is about Tyreek Hill. So he's the best player. And then who's the second best player? It's the threat of Tyreek. It's about Tyreek and the threat of Tyreek.
That's right.
But it is significant that he isn't a captain because it tells you where he stands now in this fourth season with the team. And I mean, I don't think it should be any surprise to anyone after you end one season saying you're out and you want out from the organization.
Right.
Just hours after, maybe an hour and a half after you pulled yourself out of this finale against the Jets when you had playoff aspirations still alive going into the game, and it became apparent that you were not going to reach the postseason, that you would be eliminated, and he just took himself out. He had it with the season, and apparently with his time as a Dolphin, as he expressed in that post-game locker room blow-up comments, which he then later retracted. And Tua is right in saying that it's going to take more than just coming back next year after a few months away and saying, hey, guys, I'm back, same old Tyreek. No, you have to rebuild a relationship after you go to that extent with your teammates. So, it's telling that he wasn't a captain for the first time in his span as a Miami Dolphin. Had previously been all 3 years and had said the right things for so many of those moments, like playing up Tua early on when Tua was still kind of coming off the Brian Flores era, and every interview Tyreek would play up Tua like, oh, he's more accurate than Patrick Mahomes and this and that. I feel like he shows love to a lot of his guys, but where Tyreek really needs to fix his attitude, it's just when adversity hits. And sure, he's done everything right for all intents and purposes, according to everything we've heard from different coaches and players in the months since he's been around. He's been more present with the team through the offseason in training camp, even though he had the oblique injury that's cost him some of camp. But the true test is once adversity hits, once there is a trying moment, how does Tyreek act in that point in time? So that will be the true test. That's what I'm looking for. And it's right for all these other 6 players to be the captains and Tyreek to take a step back from captaincy after one of your captains was seen doing exactly what he did to finish last season. That's not how a captain operates.
Right, I agree, and I'm glad that the team kind of drew a line in the sand here. Before we proceed, what's up to Mal B. Crazy, Dead Street, Carl Becker, Rashawn Broken Bro, Pretty Boy, what's up, Pretty Boy, SP, Rob, let's see, Sam, Billy Batson, Raphael Courtright, Cap for Life. Look at all our regulars showing up, baby. I love this. Read a lot. Is it read a lot or read a lot? Dylan Medina, what's up? Ender Fireplays, YT. Everybody is showing up, baby. All the regulars. I love this. Thanks for joining the show today. Furones, to put a bow on this segment, what do you think was the most significant offseason change that the Dolphins made? We know that they beefed up both sides of the line of scrimmage, continuing that trend from last season. We know that they tried to get the bigger running back, and Alexander Madison went out, but they do have Ollie Gordon. They got the bigger receiver, right, in NWI, Nick Westbrook-Akine. They beefed up the edge rushers. They added Matthew Judon there. They beefed up the inside linebackers, adding Willie Gay and KJ Britt. They did a bunch of stuff. They got rid of Danny Crossman and got the new special teams coordinator. But having said all of that, I think the biggest thing that they changed was the philosophy, right? The winning with the 30-somethings and win now is out. What's in now is kind of a draft and develop philosophy, right? Trying to win with youngsters and draftees. We'll see how that turns out because you've got a lot of youngsters and draftees in key positions, right? When you look at Jonas Abayinaya playing at left guard, when you look at Kenneth Grant playing at the defensive tackle spot, you look at Storm Duck at one corner, Jason Marshall Jr. at the slot position. You're relying not only on these guys, you're relying on a lot of them in week one in key positions. Their growth is going to take some time, but that philosophical change, I think, is the most significant offseason change to me. Oh, and they got the backup quarterback, Zach Wilson, also. That's hugely significant. What do you think was the most significant thing they did, the biggest change over the offseason?
Yeah, the biggest change would be the change in philosophy, the reset, as Chris Spear said, but not as far as a franchise. Don't confuse it with a rebuild. It's just a philosophical reset of how you operate financially But that's more about just the roster construction and how you spend according to the cap. So I would look at, as far as on field, it's the physicality, how you beefed up the offensive line, you invested in the offensive line at both guard positions to go and spend your highest priced free agent in James Daniels at right guard, Jonas Avainai. You trade up in the second round at left guard to draft him. So you tried with Alexander Madison as a power running back free agent, but he was lost for the season, of course, during a joint practice, or actually the first preseason game. But you still drafted Ollie Gordon to also bring that physical presence. Jalen Wright can do that some when he's back in there. So I would say it's the physicality. That's sort of a big rebuild on your on-field brand, as far as you are trying to alter how you're perceived. It's not just all finesse and speed. You're going to bring some power and physicality to go with it. So on the field, I think that's the biggest thing.
A couple of texts here. Rob says we are 8-12 in the last 20 games. A good start is necessary to reestablish a winning culture. If we get off to a bad start this season, McDaniel is even under more pressure. The whole thing could explode. And Pretty Boy says that's not bad. 9.3 victories per year with a hurt quarterback. A healthy quarterback, I feel like we average 10 to 12 wins a season. I'll say this for Pretty Boy. It's really, for this team, to me, it's about advancing in the playoffs now. You've shown us that you can get to the playoffs. You did that twice. You had the number one offense in the league. You've kind of scaled that mountain, so to speak. I'm not looking for them to win the AFC East and beat Buffalo. I'm looking for them to find a way to win a playoff game. And then as far as Rob, if they don't get off to a good start, the pressure is going to build on Mike McDaniel, and the thing could unravel very quickly. What do you have any thoughts on either of those, 8-12 and in the last 20 and the 9.3 wins a year?
Yeah, every loss would just only mount more pressure on McDaniel as well as Greer. I think both of us are in agreement. They're tied at the hip, and if they go down, they go down together. So especially when I look at this schedule, I think the Dolphins need to stack up wins that first half. Once you get to that end of October, turning the page to November stretch where they got the Ravens, Bills, and Commanders, maybe not in that order, but once you start turning that corner on the schedule, you better be in a good position already. Obviously, once you get to those games, the Dolphins need to prove that they can go and beat good teams, because obviously, even if they're 6-2, 7-1 going into that stretch, we're still going to be saying, well, they got to go prove they can beat the good teams. So yeah, it's still going to be I'm looking at you, Perk.
That's right.
But all of us will. I mean, like, all those stats will still be brought up. As Mike McDaniel's record against the losing teams compared to the good teams, and then if they go and lose those games, then I think yes, the start of the season is vital for them to stack wins and put themselves in a good spot. And the pressure will only mount with every loss. And to the point of, they would have more wins per season with a healthy quarterback, but that's part of the equation, is that you did go all in on Tua, an off-injured quarterback who's very good when he's available, but the availability is part of the equation with him, and you need to be prepared with a capable, proven backup quarterback that can keep seasons afloat in the event where he does go down. So the Dolphins have also failed in that regard in being prepared for the scenario where Tua goes down, which, for all intents and purposes, happens often.
Yeah, it's not inevitable, but it's damn near inevitable, right? That's what we've seen in 2 of the previous 3 seasons with Tua under Mike McDaniel. Furones, let's go on to segment 2, and it's can this offense operate at a high level versus Indy? And Raphael Courtwright says Tua ignored Reek for 2 weeks during the season. How is that not the same as Reek taking himself out of the game? I'll use that as the jumping off point. It's been since December 22nd, that San Francisco game, that Tua threw to Tyreek in a competitive situation, right? Because Tyreek, as you said, he had the oblique injury. He missed a lot of the training camp joint practices and preseason. Before that, he had right wrist surgery. He missed a lot of the OTAs. In that San Francisco Francisco game, and I should have had these numbers called up. I think Tyreek was targeted 5 times and caught 3 passes. Before that was the Houston game where Tyreek said, we need more time together, more practice time together. Then you have the thing with Tua saying Tyreek needs to do some work with the rest of the team. That's the on-field relationship. That's the off-field relationship. That Tua to Tyreek is what really powers this offense. But as I said, Darren Waller hasn't been out there hardly at all. Devon Achane hasn't had contact for a while because of his calf injury. Austin Jackson hasn't had contact for a while because of his lower extremity injury that was a foot, ankle, toe, whatever it was. He got stepped on. What are you expecting from this offense? And I'll say this, the Tua to Malik passing combo got stronger. The Tua to Jalen Waddle passing combination is as strong as it's ever been. We got Jonah, we got James Daniels, but what are you expecting? We got Bobby Slowick in there as the senior pass game coordinator. I'm expecting a choppy performance from this offense against Indy, and we'll make our predictions at the end of this segment. But at the end of this show, I'm expecting a choppy performance, Furones. These guys have not been together for very long. What are your expectations against Indy for this offense?
Well, the only thing I will say is that the guys who have missed time, whether it's Tyreek Hill with the oblique, whether it's Austin Jackson, who missed most of camp and the preseason, Alec Ingold missed some time with a concussion.
Yeah.
Jalen Waddle a little bit. Darren Waller aside, and Devon Achane also would fall into this category, is that they've been together before. So I do think they can pick it back up. Now, it's going to be under a microscope because Tua and Tyreek had the offseason that they did have, and Tyreek ended last season the way he did, and Tua started camp saying Tyreek needs to rebuild the relationship, and we haven't really seen the connection thrive yet because we only saw Tyreek Hill for a couple weeks of camp before they got to that long 11-day road trip through the Midwest, Chicago and Detroit. That's when he had the oblique injury. The first practice he missed was the one right before they traveled that Wednesday, the 5th, the 6th. So I'm getting my days all mixed up last month. But yeah, it hasn't been much that they've done together this training camp and preseason. So, but what does give me some level of comfort is that they have done it together before. So it could be something that you just pick right back up. But, of course, last season they weren't clicking together. Devon Achane with the calf, he's still kind of being limited as he's worked back up. So while he's expected to play, I don't know if he might be on some kind of lesser snap counts. So, those are pieces that have been together before. Austin Jackson as well. Alec Ingold has been in this offense. So I think that's what gives me some belief is that they can pick it right back up once they get together because those are the pieces that have been here in the past. The ones that are newcomers, James Daniels, Jonas Savaiinaya, they've had extensive work in camp. Patrick Paul has had a tremendous training camp as a first-year starter now. Malik Washington, who's being thrust into a larger role and I think has built a lot of chemistry with Tua this preseason and camp. So good for him as far as being a third down slot receiver, short passing game target that I think can really thrive with what Tua does as a quarterback. The only one I'm concerned about is how much Darren Waller can get involved into things when he hasn't practiced we barely still seen him practice. He said he took some competitive reps last week during a closed portion of practice that we didn't have access to in the media, but so we can't tell you that for ourselves. But that's what he said, so we'll take his word for it. He's kind of the one where you don't know how because you haven't seen it before with him and Tua in this offense.
DeHesse, what's up? Good to see you out here. Dave Harbor checking in from San Diego as usual. What's up, Dave? What did I want to say? Oh, Dead Street says they need to run the damn ball consistently in this game. I agree. I'm always proposing that this team run some power plays. You got Jonah now. You got James Daniels. You got Ollie Gordon II. Run the damn ball up the middle, A gap, B gap. Do it on first down. Do it in the first quarter. Do it in week 1. I want to see a change in this offense, Furones. You know the numbers that I always cite that the last 2 years, the Dolphins are 11-0 when Tyreek has 100 or more yards, 7-16 when he has 99 or fewer. So teams know all you have to do is shut down Tyreek, and this offense is in trouble. What do you think we're going to see different this week, week one, from what we've seen from this offense in the previous 3 years? I hope you say they run the ball with authority. I hope you say that.
I don't think you need to hope that I say it. I think you need to hope that Mike McDaniel does it and that it shows week one.
That's a good point. Good point.
On CBS at 1 p.m. when everyone's tuning in, and we're there at Lucas Oil Stadium, and we see them go run up the middle or, get that wide zone run game going, a combination of those to then open up the passing game and have defenses play more honest or even have them play the run. So, yes, I'm going to say it. Don't worry about me, Park. I'm going to say it. Will the Dolphins do it? And I think they had an offseason inclined to do that. So now it's just about executing it and putting it together on game days.
Rob says run the damn ball is fine if it makes positive yardage, not good if it creates third and long situations. Here's the thing. You've got to do that effectively, right? I mean, you cannot keep doing the same thing that you've been doing. You got tougher at the line of scrimmage for a reason, and that's to knock the Colts off the ball and create some new running lanes for your running backs, for Ollie Gordon, for Devon Achane. Get that run game going. To me, that's a big key to the offense. Now, look, we have not seen the Bobby Slowick passing game. We don't know what he brings to the table. Bobby Slowick, the senior pass game coordinator, the former Houston Texans offensive coordinator. Because we haven't seen Tyreek, because we haven't seen Waller, we don't know exactly what that Bobby Slowick pass game brings to the table. But I'm hoping that it can diversify this passing game a little bit more. And as I say that, I'm aware that last year Jonnu had 88 receptions and went to the Pro Bowl, and Achane had 78 receptions last year. But you need to have the defense thinking, well, he could throw to anybody, not we only need to defend Tyreek. Do you have any idea what will be different about this pass game? And that, as I say, I just hope there's more viable weapons that the defense takes seriously, and they have to defend everybody as opposed to just Tyreek or just Tyreek and Waddle.
Yeah, it's about keeping defenses honest, getting them out of those too high shell looks.
Right.
And I think, number one, you do that with the run game because I think also last season teams made it clear Jonnu Smith can go have whatever you want to give him. Devon Achane out of the backfield, we'll let him get going. That's fine. Throw him that underneath stuff, even though he's dangerous once he gets the ball in his hands in space. But opponents made it clear it's about stopping Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, so not letting them get going. And by and large, that strategy worked for defenses across the league last season.
Yeah. What about the offensive line? You mentioned that they decided to invest in the offensive line. That's what Chris Greer told us. I like the starters. Aaron Brewer at center, Jonah and James Daniels at the guards, Austin Jackson and Patrick Paul at the tackles. But Furones, if they get a single injury on that O-line, I am very, very worried. We saw the first team O-line in the final preseason game against Jacksonville. Larry Borum was in there at right tackle in place of Austin Jackson. But those first two possessions were rough for us. They were really, really rough. And, you didn't have Josh Hines-Allen or Travon Walker out there for Jacksonville. And, Jacksonville was still fairly effective in those first couple of possessions. What do you want to see from this offensive line, this revamped Dolphins offensive line under the direction of Butch Berry, who we all think has done a good job coaching those guys?
I want to see them healthy for 17 games because I don't want to see any reserve offensive linemen this year. But I know that's wishful thinking, and that won't happen, and it's not reality in the NFL over a 17-game regular season. So, at some points in time, you will have to go into the depth of the offensive line, whether it's Larry Borum working at one of the tackle spots, if it's Kendall Lamb just recently brought back
Yep.
I think it would be more so Kendall Lamb at left if you have Patrick Paul to go down, probably Larry Borum at right where he did get a bunch of experience. If Austin Jackson goes down again. And then on the interior of the line, right now, since you have Liam Eichenberg on PUP and Andrew Meyer on the short-term IR to start the year, then you're looking at Daniel Brunskill and maybe a Keon Smith if it goes down to that level. And in the preseason, I didn't really gain too much comfort in either one of them if they were to be thrust into action against opponents with a top-tier first-team defense. So defensive line, I wouldn't trust either one of them. I would think any backup that gets thrown in there, the other defense is going to attack them, is going to throw stunts and blitzes at that spot. And maybe it'll be, even with the starters, it'll be on the left side of the line because although they are 2 second-round picks and highly touted, and we think that they're both going to be good, and Patrick Paul at tackle and Jonas Savaiinaya at guard, that's where I would try to confuse an opponent if I'm any team that's facing the Dolphins, is go and throw some stuff at the left side of the line. 2 first-time starters, 1 a second-year player, 1 a rookie. So I'm looking at that, and I just hope that this offensive line stays healthy because I don't want to see them have to go into the reserves. And then it's telling when everyone was so down on Liam Eichenberg last year, but you were just hoping for a speedy recovery for Liam Eichenberg to get back in there and be one of the top reserves with some versatility, most likely on the interior of the line if either guard or center Aaron Brewer goes down, but who also has tackle experience, has started at all 5 offensive line positions during his time as a Miami Dolphin.
All right. You know what time it is now, baby. You know what time it is. We're on high alert around here. We've got 4 segments in this show. This is one of the 4 best segments of this show. The one, the only, the Furones bonus.
Oh, the Furones
I love it. I love it, baby. All right. So, Furones, the question to you is, who are the Dolphins' most likely, unlikely Week 1 heroes? Now, we know the most likely heroes, right? Tua, Tyreek, Waddle, Achane, Sealer, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Riley Patterson, the kicker, Anthony Weaver, the defensive coordinator. Some of the most likely, unlikely heroes: D. Eskridge, Darren Waller, Kenneth Grant, Ife Melanfonwu, Storm Duck, NWI, Ollie Gordon II. What about Jack Jones? What about Rasul Douglas? What about Craig Aukerman? What about Alec Ingold as an unlikely hero? Who do you like? I tell you what, I'll go first on this one.
Oh, I didn't know this was the perk bonus. Okay, go ahead. No, you got the whole. It's Dolphins deep dive with perk, and then even the Furones bonus. You try to steal it from me.
This is work for perk. That's what this is. This is work for perk. I'm gonna go with Storm Duck as my most likely, unlikely hero. Gets an interception, gets a key interception late in the game. That's mine. This is the Furones bonus, though. Like you said, work for perk is maybe next week. Furones bonus. Who you got?
Yeah, you get back to work writing those columns. All right. This is my segment here. One of the names you mentioned was special teams coordinator Craig Aukerman. Now, that would really be something. That would really be unlikely if he goes onto the field and makes a play.
You never know.
There might be a penalty involved in that.
Little forearm shiver to a kick returner who's about to break it. You never know.
Yeah, I think they're allowed to just give the opponent the touchdown in that regard. I remember Joe Flacco at the end of the Super Bowl was talking about he would go off the sideline and tackle the guy if he returns it for a touchdown on the final play.
That's right.
But if you're going to ask me for an unlikely hero, I'm going to go with the best story, which would be after all the camp speculation, after all the worry over his PUP placement and lack of ramp up heading into the opener, for Darren Waller to catch a game-winning touchdown. Wow. Now, maybe he's on a limited snap count, but if those snaps, let's say, are held back to a late game scenario where he's used in the red zone to sky over a defender for a touchdown. Better yet, here's what I got. The Colts have a late Hail Mary throw to the end zone, and Waller, with his big frame, what's he, 6'5"? I don't know his height off the top of my head, but he's the one back there to bat it down. Or I'll do you one better even. It's a long field goal attempt at the end, like a 60-yarder. That's barely going to make it over the crossbar. And Waller goes all the way back to goaltend it, as it would otherwise barely make it over the crossbar. That would be an unlikely hero and great story. Some others, though, if it's one of the cornerbacks making a game-sealing play, especially, let's say, Rasul Douglas, just not even with the team 2 weeks, if he has a late game-sealing interception, I don't know how much he's going to play, because he said last week, his first couple of practices, he was running around, not in the right spots, not sure of where to go, so it might take some time for him to get all the defensive plays. He said it's only like 2 plays that are like what he did in Green Bay, which will be the closest scheme to what he's done, what he's doing now, what he's done before. So, it might take a learning curve for him. But, any one of the corners, that would be a great unlikely hero maybe. But, Waller would be the great story. If after all this, then week 1, it shows that the Dolphins have something, and he makes the big play to win it or something. For the offense or the defense or special teams, batting down a Hail Mary or a long field goal in some highly unlikely scenarios that I've laid out. But you heard it here first if it does happen at Lucas Oil Stadium around 4:15 on Sunday.
All right, now let me remind you of something. I think I'm right on this. The last time we saw a tight end try to pull some defensive heroics, wasn't it Gronk during the Miami Miracle where he got all tied up, his feet at the back there, and he couldn't make the tackle, right?
Different scenario entirely. That Bill Belichick should have never put him in there. The Dolphins were like 70 yards away. They weren't throwing a Hail Mary. It was going to be one of those lateral plays. So, I would say if it comes down to the Colts are around midfield and it's Danny Dimes just throwing one into the end zone, because, once you get into a Hail Mary range, then you just throw it into the end zone as opposed to run one of those like 8 lateral plays to try to work your way into the end zone. You don't want Darren Waller in that scenario, but if it's just him going up to bat down a ball over the receivers, I want the tallest guy you got, which, shoot, that might be Patrick Paul, actually. Could you imagine a left tackle going out there to bat down?
No, I could not.
I don't know if he has the leaping ability.
Right, exactly. I like Waller in that situation. Gambino Gardens, welcome to the party. Basketball Jones likes your pick. Basketball Jones says Darren Waller. You never know. Mark says Malik Washington. Dead Streak says Cam Good. Cam Good could have changed the season a couple of years ago, right? He had that Buffalo kick return, 21
had to bring it up.
I'm just saying, Cam Good. I asked Cam Good about that, and he was like, "No, you're right. I had him, and then the knee gave out, and that could have changed the trajectory of the season." Who else have we got here? I thought I saw somebody else, another name. Mal B. Crazy says Daniel Jones. He's going to screw it up for the Colts, LOL. Danny Dimes could screw it up. Either of those quarterbacks could screw it up. Quite honestly, Anthony Richardson or Danny Dimes could screw it up. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. But you could have an likely hero for this game. I do think that it's going to be a close game. But before we get to that, let's go to segment 3, Furones, and let's talk about whether the Dolphins defense can dominate the Colts offense. We know who's on that Colts offense. We just talked about Daniel Jones, the quarterback, Danny Dimes, Michael Pittman at receiver, Jonathan Taylor at running back. They got Quentin Nelson there at guard. But I like this front seven, Furones. I mean, I try not to overhype them, but you've got the 4 edge rushers and Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips, Shop Robinson, and Matthew Judon. You've got on the defensive line, it's led by Zach Sealer and Benito Jones and Kenneth Grant. You've got a couple of youngsters behind them, Jordan Phillips and Zeke Biggers, those inside backers. You've got Jordan Brooks and Terrell Dodson. Behind them, Willie Gay and KJ Britt. This group is deep. This group can make plays. They're active, they're athletic, they're tough, they're physical. they can do a lot of things. And then behind them, you've got Minkah Fitzpatrick. Now, after that, things get a little shaky, right? You got Storm Duck on one side, probably Jack Jones on the other side, Jason Marshall Jr., the rookie fifth-round pick at the slot. And then I'm thinking Ife Melifonwu is going to start at safety beside Minkah Fitzpatrick. But even at safety, Furones, I like some of the depth that we've seen. Ashton Davis and Elijah Campbell back there. And I like Anthony Weaver calling the shots for this defense. I think this defense can dominate, not just win the game. They can dominate. They can get sacks. They can produce turnovers. They can stop the run. They can make Danny Jones's life miserable. They can make this dude paranoid, wondering which side is the pass rush coming from. Is it coming up the middle from Zach Sealer, who's got back-to-back 10-sack seasons? I think this defense can dominate, not just win the game, not just put up a good performance. I think the defense can dominate on the road. It can buy some time for this offense. And to me, that's going to be a big key to the win, is the defense taking charge here.
Yeah, I think it starts with stopping the run. Daniel Jones in his first start, I think the Colts will try to ease him into things. They'll feed Jonathan Taylor, lean into him heavily, work behind that left side of the line with Quentin Nelson at guard, Bernhard Raimann, the left tackle. I think the Dolphins will have to prove they can stop the run, set the edge on those edges, and I trust the front seven to be able to withstand the Colts running game. And so I agree with you. Yes, I'm with you on the front seven. That's where it's going to start, is stopping the run before you could get into anything like the pass rush. You need to get the Colts into those passing situations first. Now they do have a good receiving trio in Alec Pierce, Michael Pittman, Josh Downs. They added the tight end Tyler Warren, which, keep in mind, the Colts rushed that pick up as soon as the Dolphins made their selection at 13 of Kenneth Grant. The Colts couldn't have done it any faster in taking Tyler Warren, who a lot of people connected the Colts to in mock drafts. No one thought that Tyler Warren would get past number 14. So that was kind of like that last spot. Maybe people would have thought, okay, the Dolphins could take him, considering then we had access later on to the fact that Jonnu Smith was traded. But Dolphins, of course, had the focus and the emphasis on the trenches. Go with defensive tackle Kenneth Grant, who I think everyone is pleased with so far and have high hopes for. And who will play a part in stopping that run and maybe providing that interior pass rush against the Colts. So I agree. It's stopping the run first, then the pass rush, confusing Daniel Jones, seeing if you can get to him, and then that's going to help the secondary, this unproven, questionable cornerbacks group, but one that is willing to take chances. Jack Jones does that. He's willing to gamble. He's willing to bite on a route. I think it's the same thing with Rasul Douglas, depending on how much he's out there in his first game as a Dolphin after less than 2 weeks of work with the team. So that's one thing. I would believe in this secondary to create turnovers. I think Minkah Fitzpatrick needs to be that balancing act, that presence that really just solidifies, maybe can mask some deficiencies from the corners, keep the secondary together, be a leader back there as the multiple-time All-Pro that he has been. But if that pass rush gets going and Daniel Jones has to force throws, and that bodes well for cornerbacks who do like to gamble a little bit, and maybe Jack Jones can bite and take one for you in his Dolphins debut. So that's what I'm looking for with the Dolphins defense, but it starts front seven, stopping the run.
Yeah, I agree. Basketball Jones says Chop, Phillips, and Chubb need to dominate. Pretty Boy says NASCAR packaging Indy, baby. And then we had who was it who checked in with Chop being the most likely Anthony Pecoraro saying, I'm saying Chop, sack, fumble for TD. And my point here is that NASCAR pass rush, right? Getting three of those four guys on the field at the same time can be highly impactful. How big do you think that's going to be as a part of the game plan? Now, remember, this is week one. In preseason, teams usually don't show a lot, right? They work on what they want to perfect. They're not necessarily game planning for an opponent. And so I'm looking forward to see what Weave has. You mentioned that Indy is probably going to come at the two youngsters on the left side of the Dolphins offense, right? Jonah and Patrick Paul. They probably saved some stuff up, but I think Weave has saved some stuff up, right? Some stunts, some blitzes, some twists, things like that they're going to throw at the Indy defense. How integral do you think the NASCAR pass rush, getting 3 of those 4 edge rushers on the field at the same time, will be to the game plan? And do you think it will be a factor if the Dolphins get a victory here?
Oh, I think definitely we'll see packages with 3 of the 4. My mind even wants to go to having all 4. I did draw up during the offseason, shortly after Matthew Judon, I drawn up a defensive formation, a pseudo defensive formation that would never actually see the light of day because it was a joke of having 4 guys on the edge. Just all there. So, in a very non-traditional look, where you incorporate Judon with the others, probably you would have someone come up the middle if to balance it out a little bit.
Right.
But I look at maybe you want to go throw something at the right side of the Colts offensive line where you can probably expose them a little bit more than on the left side, which is more solidified. Sure. I mean, I think Anthony Weaver, because he even has shown some things even in camp in the preseason. How many times have we highlighted a corner getting a practice sack, or even we saw it a few times in the preseason? Minka coming in on the safety blitz. I think all this is in his bag, and it'll probably be even more so because, to your point, they're not showing everything. So he's probably got so much more that he can go to that he does plan on going to. So I look for some exotic blitzes, going and getting DBs in there, some of the inside linebackers possibly also, and really mixing things up. I'm really excited to see what Weaver cooks up to get to the quarterback and make it so that these corners don't have to be in coverage for very long.
Basketball Jones says the Fantastic Four. I like that for those edge rushers. How about that? That might stick. That might stick a little bit. B Stuck the Poet, welcome to the show. B Stuck the Poet says predicting Malik Washington and Jason Marshall Jr. get game balls. I think they are going to attack Jason Marshall Jr. That's what I would do if I'm the Colts.
He'll get opportunities.
A rookie 5th-round pick who has never played the position before in a game. I'm going right at him and seeing what he has. Gambino Gardens
do go 3 deep with the wide receivers, so they could mix and match which receiver they want to put in the slot. I don't know how much they do that themselves, but they could throw different things at Jason Marshall covering the slot at the nickel.
Yeah, I didn't watch the Colts during preseason, but we know what Tyler Warren did at Penn State, right? He lined up all over the place. So I'm not sure if they would line him up against Jason Marshall Jr. I have no idea, but that's probably something that I would be looking to experiment with if I'm the Colts, if he has that capability. Gambino Garden says Grant can sneak 5 or 6 sacks in there. Bet that. That's
not in one game, I don't think, right?
Well,
all right, in the season.
You never know. He might be the likely, unlikely hero. You never know. He might set an NFL record, 5 or 6 sacks. Look, but that's not what he does. Kenneth Grant is a run stopper, and kind of my point here, my question to you is, do you think Kenneth Grant can be effective immediately? And I asked that because we did see a lot of Benito Jones out there alongside Zach Sealer in the preseason. Now, if they're in the nickel, and they're in the nickel a lot, then you can understand that. But, you need Grant. Last year, this team was number 9 against the run. They were number 4 in total defense, 9 against the pass, 9 against the run, 10 in points allowed. You were effective at stopping the run. When you're in the top 10, you're pretty effective in this league. Can Kenneth Grant take that run stuffing to the NFL level, and will we see him, the 1st-round pick, out there in pass down situations? Because I don't like the idea of a one-dimensional 1st-round pick.
Yeah, the record, by the way, single game sacks is 7.
Oh,
Derek Thomas.
Okay, well,
yeah,
he won't set a record, but he'll do well. If he gets 5 or 6, we can accept that that's not a record, and he can work towards something the next week, right, against New
yeah.
England.
Uh, a Miami guy went to South Miami High, so
Yeah, look at that.
yeah,
Look at that.
yeah. Derek Thomas for the Chiefs, of course.
Yep. The legend.
Yeah. Sorry, the question was about Kenneth Grant.
Yeah. I mean, can he take the run stuffing to an NFL level? And will he be a one-dimensional first-round pick, or do you expect to see him out there in passing situations, rushing the passer, showing some improvement?
Yeah, the run stuffing I think definitely translates. He's got the body for it. I think that's a day one that transfers over. The only thing is you're working against bigger, more polished offensive linemen on the other side. So, but just a natural ability to stop the run as an interior defensive lineman, yep. I think for sure that translates over day one. And yeah, I think the Dolphins drafted him for more than just his ability to stop the run because he's uber athletic at his size. Right. So I think he does have the interior pass rush arsenal to contribute in that aspect.
All right, Furones, let us migrate on to segment number 4. It is our pick, Dolphins versus Colts. Who you got? You want to start this off? You want to extend the Furones bonus, or is we still work for Perk? What are you doing?
However you want to go. Wait, is this an indication of which way you're going? That you want me? Do you want me to give them the good news or the bad news?
You go first. You go first.
All right. Yeah, I'm going Dolphins 24, Colts 20. 20. Yeah. 20. Yeah. Dolphins win 24-20.
All right. That's done. That's done.
I think the reasons we laid out, I do like the Dolphins. I do trust them to stop the run, which I think will be the number one thing defensively. Daniel Jones doesn't scare me as far as going against the unproven secondary where you might not have a hole, but I think the pass rush could get to him, force him into some mistakes. And then on the offensive side, I think this offense will do enough. I think they have plenty. And yes, there's questions over how much they've been together in the preseason. I think it'll be enough in their first game. Everyone back. Tyreek Hill can make some plays. I think Jalen Waddle has a strong connection again with Tua. Malik Washington will get in there. I don't know how much we'll see out of Darren Waller, but anything would just be a bonus, I feel. I want to see if Nick Westbrook-Akine gets in there. We haven't seen that too much in camp, but that's a red zone target that maybe could flourish now once the regular season gets going and the Dolphins really get down there and maybe target him once they get down there, especially if Waller isn't a big part of the game plan yet. I'm going to trust the run game. I think the Dolphins will go to the run, have it be effective a little bit, and then have that open up some looks for Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle on the outside and maybe some big plays, enough at least for the Dolphins to win 24-20.
I'm very concerned about this Dolphins offense for the reasons that we laid out. The Tua to Tyreek connection, it's not the off-field connection, it's the on-field connection. And when we last saw it against Houston, against San Francisco, it wasn't in high gear. As a matter of fact, it was deteriorating with Tyreek saying they need more practice time. Well, since then, they've had hardly any practice time. So I'm worried about that. We'll see about this revamped offensive line. I think it's going to take some time for it to take root. We'll see about the tight end situation because I don't think the tight end is going to be much of a passing option this game. And we will also see if they need to go to any backups. Now, hopefully it's not a backup quarterback, but if they need to give Achane a break, how is Ollie Gordon II, the rookie, on the road, making his NFL debut, going to do? The Tua to Malik Washington combination, will it be as strong in the regular season as we've seen it in training camp? I have no problem with Tua to Waddle. I have no problem thinking that Patrick Paul is going to be effective. I have no problem thinking that Tua is going to be effective, but I worry about the offense. Defensively, I have no worries. I know Storm Duck is out there. I know that Jason Marshall Jr. is out there. I know that the other safety that's going to be beside Minka has not had much practice time. I have a lot of faith in the special teams. Craig Aukerman taking over. We'll see about Riley Patterson, the kicker. But I don't think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I'm going Dolphins 17-13. So And look, you guys know that I've said this many times. I've picked the Dolphins to go 9-8 this season. This has got to be one of those. Not well, it doesn't have to be. I think this will be one of those 9 victories. But last year we didn't see this offense doing great things in the opener, right? You needed the late heroics from Tyreek so you could put up a 20 spot and win 20-17 over Jacksonville. I'm going low scoring this time. I'm going 17-13 Dolphins. This will be one of the 9 wins they get in this season. So that's what I'm going with. Furones, let me ask you this about this opener. If the offense does not score 3 touchdowns, and I'm saying that they won't, I'm saying that they score 2, you're saying that they score 3, 24-20. I guess you're saying that they score 3. If they don't score 3, is that a reason to be concerned? Or I would just write it off to it's the opener. Tua to Tyreek hasn't had much time. Austin Jackson hasn't been out there. Bobby Slowick isn't really familiar with them. But do you sound an alarm bell if they don't have 3 touchdowns?
Wait, you're assuming I have them scoring 3 offensive touchdowns?
I know.
You didn't let me finish. 2 defensive scores. All right. Right. Jack Jones pick 6 and Chop Robinson stupid score.
That's right. That's right. My bad.
Plus a Malik Washington return touchdown. The offense does nothing in this game.
That's right.
No, yeah, I mean, I think you just want to see that it's formidable. That some of the spark is back. That Tua and Tyreek have some moments. Tua and Jalen Waddle have some moments. Whether that means 3 touchdowns, whether it means more, whether it means less. I think you want the run game to just show. I'm looking for those signs that they're physical in the run game, that there is a connection once again Tua to his receivers. That's more so what I'm looking for than a certain touchdown number. But of course, it needs to produce. But I think I would be pleased enough against a decent Colts defense, at least what we think will be. We don't know. It's week 1. Everything's new this year. But I think that if they achieve what I've predicted, 24-20, then I think you come away pleased in both regards, the offense and defense, and hopefully special teams as well. Hopefully there's no special teams blunder there. I'm confident in Craig Ackerman fixing some of those issues.
And we were talking about before the show how we were hoping that no news would break, and we said that the chat is always a good spot for breaking news. They'll always tell us. Pretty Boys telling us that Gabe Davis just re-signed with Buffalo. So how about that, man? The chat is always a good spot to go. By the way, some predictions here. Rob says Dolphins 23-20. Dead Streak says Dolphins 17-6. Raphael Courtright says Dolphins 24-21. New Dolphins kicker wins the game. So, look, the Dolphins need to win this game. They're the better team. That's the other thing that I didn't say in my little monologue there, that I do think that the Dolphins are the better team here. Yes, it's a road opener, but we've seen them do that before. So I am expecting a Dolphins team, a Dolphins victory here.
A couple of things we have to mention. It's Xavier Howard on the other side. So
that's right.
Yeah,
and Lou Anarumo
finished without that. So there's a storyline there. Also, Colts home opener after losing Jim Irsay. Obviously, I'm sure the franchise will be rallying. The fan base will be rallying behind the loss of their owner this offseason. So I'm sure they're going to be fired up over there on that side. I think they might be doing something, remembering Jim Irsay at this game, as a matter of fact, now that you mentioned that. So we'll see what happens, man. But I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. But hopefully the Dolphins come out with a win in this one, because 1-0 is going to be a whole lot better than 0-1. I mean, we can all agree to that. Thanks for watching this week's edition of Dolphins Deep Dive with Perk. We will be back next week and pretty much every Tuesday at noon right here. We appreciate it. That's David Furones. I'm Chris Perkins. We'll see y'all next week.